I have Commissioner Tracy Boaz. Next to me on my right is also Commissioner Rich Bradley. On Zoom, I have Commissioner Kelly Anderson. Christine Garvey, no, it's not. Yeah, I'm sorry. Commissioner Grace Young on my right, and as I said, I'm Earl Strother. Let me first thank and recognize the Planning Commission of the Commission Planning and Urban Design Office of the city. Don Rowe, our Executive Director, to my left, Miriam, our City Planning Coordinator for this executive, and his staff. If you would just simply wave your hand so we know who staff members are. Thank you for that. Let me first offer thanks to the Delmar Divine. Thank you for having and hosting us. I had an opportunity to say thank you to Maxine Clark earlier, and I'm glad she's present with us. With that, let us begin the meeting. The first order of business is roll call. So if we can, please call the roll.
Alderman Cone. Alderman Hubbard. Here. Commissioner Banton.
Present.
Commissioner Boaz.
Present.
Commissioner Bradley.
Present.
Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Garmedia. Commissioner Young. Chair Strother.
Present.
Alderman Cone. Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Garmedia. And Chair, you do have a quorum.
Thank you for that. Prior to my next order of business, I want to say the commission is happy. This is our first meeting in public, in person in probably 3 years since COVID. So we're kind of excited just to see people again and have the opportunity to be in this present. With that, the first order of business, we've had a meeting on May 10th. I to approve the minutes of that time. Commissioners had to receive those. I'll accept the motion. It's been moved by Commissioner Bradley, seconded by Commissioner Young. Call for vote, please.
Alderman Cone. Alderman Cone. Alderman Clark Hubbard. Commissioner Banton. Commissioner Boaz.
Aye.
Commissioner Bradley. Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Garmedia.
Aye.
Commissioner Young. Chair Strother.
Aye.
And the motion passes with 6 voting aye and 1 abstention.
Thank you very much for that. Let me kind of lay out the plan for this evening so everybody's real aware of that. We have 5 action items tonight that we'll be dealing with. A consideration of some neighborhood plan that people want to talk about this evening. I'm not sure what that is. We have a strategic land use amendment that we're talking about, 2 zoning maps and a chapter 99. All 5 of those 4 will require public hearing. The notices have been posted in appropriate time. If at the time appropriately for you to speak, I'll ask that you line up here in the middle of the aisle. I'm a really stickler for time. I think all of us enjoy our time. There will be 2 minutes to speak. I'm really generous and kind. Please keep me that way. Please keep me that way at the appropriate time. If you are online, please sign up. At the appropriate time, we will check for those that are registered online to make comments, and we will move forward as such. The first item of business today is this We Collab neighborhood plan, which is going to be presented by Alexa. Should I do like graduation? Please go to the class and all But at this time, we invite Alexa to come forward and make the presentation.
All right.
Good evening. All right. Hello, everyone.
Take your time.
All right, so good evening, commissioners. I'm delighted to go over with you the first item on our agenda, which is the review of our neighborhood plan for the West End and Visiting Park neighborhood. Before we move forward, I do want to just share what's to be expected for the session, just so that everyone in the audience know. If we could just move back one slide. Or move forward a slide. Like that. There we go. So I will do just a brief introduction followed by our lovely members over there will be doing a presentation. And then I will follow up with some of our compliance stuff. And then after we have our presentation, it will be followed by the chair will open up and the commissioner will open up the public hearing, which we will sign up for either in person or virtually. And then there will be discussion, and then I will present the final recommendation, and then the commissioners will decide to take action. Just kind of to let you all know that, if we could click the first number, you will see the words, that's our introduction.
Update browser.
It is always inevitable that you have some technical difficulty, and it's just part of life. And if this is the worst thing that happens to us today, we've had a really good day. All right?
I think it's really important you all see this.
For AI powered technology. I don't know.
Give it another 30 seconds.
Wow, what do I love about the West End? I love my block and I love my neighborhood. The park of well-being. I love the proximity to places that people want to go. Well, the West End is West St. Louis. We're 70% apartment dwellers, renters, and lots of low economic people.
A lot of that, I would say, is attributable to racial problems, but we see for this effort, a real possibility, a real promise.
We knew that in order to make our neighborhood be the neighborhood that we wanted to see, that we had to have a blueprint of what we wanted to see now and for the future. We collab as an organization put together by residents because things have been done to us, things have been done for us, but we wanted to have things done with us. We picked yard because they said, no, we want to get it.
What we immediately realized was that it was the residents themselves being the together, doing the interviews. They were the ones making the selection. Never seen anything like that before. And so that got us very excited about the potential of working with these folks who were trying to take control over and lead the investment in their own community. What we learned is that a truly resident-led plan is difficult. It takes time. We had a steering committee that met regularly, and they really drove the process, selecting the focus areas and where development and investment should occur in the next 25 years. Black entrepreneurship, safety, types of housing, affordable market rate. We took all that and put that energy into the focus areas. That's that sort of implementation matrix that gives the community clear steps. Start taking immediately.
That meant so much. That's what made you collab. But that collaboration, that voice is what makes this very special. We don't have to continue to make decisions for these neighborhoods. The folks that live in them are the experts and they know what needs to be done. And so that's why it has to work, and that's why it will work.
Things take time, great things take much longer. Great, and I have every.
And we know it's hard. We don't think it's gonna be easy. We don't think it's gonna be quick. We know it's gonna be hard work. And some of us are in for the long haul. We're ready to work hard because we want to see our ability to come back to life. We want to see our parks flourish. We're there to make people know who the West End is and its importance and its significance, you know, to the St. Louis city landscape.
Refusing to be displaced. Refusing for someone to be displaced, that people have that safety. That's what makes me glad.
So just really quick, it will be the next slide. I do want to remind the planning commissioners that
The city of Huber Heights is a wonderful place to live, to work, and play. When I said Huber Heights is a one thing for 10 years, and that we're going to comprehensive plans. In early 2022, we engaged a consulting firm to assist us with developing a vision for what the city of Huber Heights look like. And with that vision,
I will continue on if everyone can still hear me.
the steering committee, all over Huber Heights to ensure diversified.
Something is sounding like the teacher from Charlie Brown.
That sounds like Alderman Cone. I want to be sure. I have a second to that Alderman Cone online, please.
Yeah, Alderman Cone is on the line, but Alderman
All right.
Cone is hearing nothing but Charlie Brown teacher noises.
All right, thank you. So we will also count Alderman Cone as present at this time.
I will go through this quickly. So I just wanted to remind planning commissioners that in July of 2020, we did adopt minimum standards for plan submittals. And as a part of those standards, we have those that we make sure that our neighborhood plans follow best practices and that have processes that are inclusive and empower residents to make future decisions for their community. And there are four overarching requirements. One is general basic requirements, which means that the plans follow actually identified city neighborhoods and have standards for community engagement, topical coverage, and also making sure that these plans are aligned with our other regional efforts like the equity indicators report. If you look inside of your packets or towards the end of the plan, you will see more in depthly what our minimum standards are. So without further ado, it's a great pleasure that I present to you some of the esteemed members of the We Collab Planning Committee. Their remarkable plan, which has earned them a prestigious merit award from the Congress for New Urbanism, embodies the fundamental principles that our physical environment plays a pivotal role in shaping our communities or opportunities for happiness and prosperity. And the We Collab members deserving recipients of this esteemed accolade have truly set a groundbreaking benchmark for community engagement and equitable planning. And I see Sharon and Lisa.
Good evening, so happy to see everyone here. My name is Celeste McNabb, and I'm trying to talk as I was instructed to. I'm the co-chair, along with Sharon Higgins of the West End Neighbors Steering Committee. Will all the other steering committee members please raise your hand so we can acknowledge you? Next slide, please. In 1904, around the time of the St. Louis World's Fair, this was a predominantly white neighborhood. And it was maintained that way through housing covenants, which made it illegal for a white family to sell to a black family. But those housing covenants were overturned when by a challenge by an individual who's trying to buy a home. So in the late 1950s, after the Supreme Court challenged those covenants, black families started moving in. And as black families started moving in, white families started moving out. And so did the money and the resources and the infrastructure. And that's why we have a lot of vacant buildings, because we are trying to make things happen. And so it's difficult when you've been traumatized. It's difficult when you've been traumatized and you're trying to figure out how to deal with where you are and where you came from. It's difficult to answer the question, where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? And so we are here to come up and get over here. We're here to prevent displacement. Okay, to ensure housing values, levels of educational achievement, home ownership, medium household incomes stay consistent and stay the same, and to avoid the negatively impacting of the overall well-being of surrounding neighborhoods north of Page Boulevard or east of Union. So with that, I'm going to give it to who?
Next slide.
Okay, then I'm gonna say.
So Lisa Potts, 20-year resident of the West End. So where have we been? So basically, I'm gonna set the stage. This is the project planning area is the West End and Visitation Park. Those boundaries are paved to Delmar and Union to Anchor. And I do have to write them down because people who know me know I have no consideration. Our planning priorities are residents at the forefront and centering racial equity. Our planning effort encompassed a steering committee, which you've seen them here tonight. Our community ambassadors are actually paid residents to do this work in community. We've done data collection and analysis and community engagement. So WeCollab is a resident-led, first and foremost, comprehensive planning process that is intended to guide our work for the next 20 years. It is not going to be a plan that sits on anybody's shelf and collects dust. This is a living, breathing, working document. So where did this begin? Again, you're gonna hear themes throughout our presentation around resident-led and racial equity. This project has been resident-led from day one. In 2018, 4 residents wrote a grant to invest STL and received funding to create a community planning process. And I'm going to explain a little later the in-depth outreach that we did for the planning process. But we got interrupted. All of our lives got interrupted by COVID. So as a result of that, we took a pause, we did a recalibration, and we pivoted. And so now we're going to talk about our new planning partner in this last phase of our planning process. Next one. So we started with, we did interviews for steering committee members. We did a parcel survey for every vacant property in this in our neighborhood. We did a public kickoff meeting. And then we had a community listening session right after that because residents told us, listen, we heard from those planners, but we didn't hear from you. So we had another opportunity to have that meeting. You know, so our engagement demographics, and so I won't read all of this for you, but basically every meeting we had, we collected name, address, phone numbers, where you live. We divided our neighborhood into quadrants so that we could always figure out where people were coming from, so that if we needed to do additional engagement, we would do that. And what I will say by this data, we learned that we didn't have enough senior voices. So as a result, we went to a senior complex where we had immediate access to over 200 seniors so that we could fill those gaps. Next slide. So total engagement numbers. Over 80 pop-up events. We got 450 social media followers, 1,800 website views, 50 plus steering committee meetings. I would argue it was probably more than that. 30 stakeholder meetings. Our pre-phase engagement from 2018 to 2021, right before COVID, we had over 8,700 interactions because we did not stop during COVID. During COVID, we made masks. They said, I love the West End. We passed out COVID. Madeline and her husband made gooey butter cake and we passed it out to people. We still wanted people to know that we were still here trying to support this effort. We gave out MRU kits at Cornerstone and made that a hub for community engagement. And then each of these phases talks about the levels of engagement that we did. Next slide. So what types of engagement? We met people where they were. We went beyond the traditional, let's have a Zoom meeting. Let's have a regular meeting. We had meetings at the corner. We met people at the gas station. We showed up at Juneteenth. We went to Ivory Craig Park Concert Series. We went everywhere, grocery stores. Wherever people were, we showed up. And that's how we did some of our engagement. Next slide. And so you'll see some of the pictures here. Every time we did engagement again, we were showing people the plan, asking people, what do you want to see? What's good about this area? What's bad about that area? Next slide. But again, the final three phase of our engagement was when we took all of those gatherings, all the SWOT analysis, both the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threat that our residents said back to us. And we took it back to them and said, hey, did we get this right? Does this look like what you told us? And then I had an opportunity to engage and again, some more than that exercise. That was just this past November, right here at Del Monte Divine. Next slide. Neighborhood-wide strategies and objectives.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sharon Higgins. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. We'll go straight to the next slide. So like Lisa said, we asked a ton of questions. We listened. April Walker, who's here, it really just transformed our outreach to our community and went places that we've never gone before to talk to people. And we're forever grateful for her leadership in this process. So we came out with sort of themes, I'll call it, within the process. The first thing that we heard loud and clear is that we want growth in our community, but we want it without kicking anybody out. If folks want to leave on their own, that's one thing, but we do not want to displace our residents. So when we make decisions, we have to keep in mind who benefits and who loses. And that's a core element of our plan. We want to be a canned neighborhood. We've gone through this. We heard it at the very first meeting. Oh, we've seen a plan before. We've done this 10 times. Nothing ever happened. That might have been true in the past, but today is different. And so we have to come in here with a different attitude that this is a different process, different time. And because of that, we want to be a can. What can we do? We know we got no's in the past, but how can we get to a yes in the future? And we're doing that with the assistance of our wonderful all the ladies, I'm sorry, Jamie, who is committed to helping us in, every step of the way, not just me, but all of our elected officials are also on board in this process, helping us be a can neighborhood. The third item, sorry. The third item is we're working together, right? One of the first things I noticed, I've been a resident for 16 years, is that there are multiple organizations working within the West End, but rarely in the past, at least, that those organizations work closely together. They work in their own silos. We're trying to break down those walls, bring all the organizations together at the table to help make this plan a reality. For the fourth item, focus on housing. So we take advantage of our greenways, is what that talks about. We have that entire sort of the old hold-on tracks running through our community of the West End and Visitation Park. How can we use that? How can we reimagine that? And how can our community get on board with what that can look like in the future? And then I think the last item, I don't think we could have had engagement, we can go to the next page, without addressing some of the safety issues, right? That was a huge component. We're aware of that. We can't do everything about safety, but what we can do is to make sure that we grow our residents. We know that there's more people. The fewer vacant lots we have, the fewer vacant homes we have, the less crime we have. The more people are working, the less crime we have. We know that. And the less poverty, the less crime we have. So that is just an awful component of our plan.
So let's focus comprehensively. So next slide, I'm sorry. So we're gonna go through these, and so what you see is that this is our entire neighborhood. So we're getting Page, Union, Del Mar, and Skager. And then Visitation Park is this area in this small square. But as you can see in the large pink circle, those are the focus areas that we're getting ready to go over now. So the tracks in Union, Del Mar Developer, Hold them out in the tracks, Maple and Goodfellow, and Page and Blackstone. And then in the turquoise, you will see other areas that are not necessarily focus areas, but there are prominent initiatives taking place. So the Del Mar Divine, which is where we are, has future initiatives. So the former Del Mar Loop Station, the former Cook School, and then Page and Speaker. We want something to when you come to the West End, you say, oh, wow, I'm in the West End now. And that's kind of our goal.
All right, so we're going to introduce our focus areas, 5 different focus areas. That's not the only place that we're going to talk about, right? That's not the only place that we're looking to develop, change, improve, but we had to narrow it down. So with the help of the data we collected through our residents feedback, as well as data that Yara helped collect on our behalf, we came up with these 5 areas. So the first is the tracks at Union. You're going to see 4 or 5 different slides that kind of go through here's what it looks like today. We all know this intersection. We know what it looks like. We know that there's not a whole lot going on in this area. Next slide. Right? What if there was a new building created? And what if that building was for mixed use? What if it was retail and apartments? What if that was a commercial use building? It might be for some other business. But what else could go on these corners besides what's there today? So that's just one. And what happens if we span out? So that's 0 to 2 years. What happens if we go out a few more years? What else could be a time? Well, by that time, what we know is the Hobart tracks will be completely transformed, right? So, and the development that occurs after that is what this is kind of, what this is illustrating here. So when you go from adding one building, adding another couple of buildings and improving our agreement. Now, if we go out beyond over to more than 5 years, imagine what this intersection may look like. Completely different than what it looks like today. This is what our residents want. They don't want to continue to see vacant lots. They don't want to continue to have vacant buildings. They want to have businesses that contribute to our economy. And people. All right. And then if we could really imagine what this may look like. Now, you know, sometimes when we talk to our residents, we had to pause. They're like, really? Can this really look like that? And what I point to our existing neighborhoods. Now, those neighborhoods may not have done it perfectly, but what we do know is that in Forest Park Southeast, for example, didn't look too different in some of those corners than what Hodemont looks like today. And look at Forest Park Southeast today. And we may not like everything about how we did it because we're doing things a little differently, but the development, what it transformed into, it's a reality. Oh, we're going back to what it looked like originally. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. All right, and then again, here's what it looks like originally. Next slide.
And this is the for real rematch, right? Absolutely. Next slide.
Yeah,
And
imagine
these slides are in the hallway to the strap, okay, okay. So we're gonna go through these a little quicker, but that was kind of the scope of the framework in which it was set up. We're looking at existing locations here. And I took this one because this is around the corner from my house, the B&B market. And just a super quick personal story. My kids used to love walk around there and I was terrified. I'm like, why are you going around there? What's around there? And I go too. And they're like, we can just walk around the corner. But I should be able to let my kids walk around the corner and feel safe, right? Next slide. So, 0 to 2 years, again, we wanna, hopefully by then, Goodfellow will be paid. And so this is where it intersects with the Hodemont track. So again, building out our corners so we can have real crosswalks and, walkable streets. That's fine. So again, I hope you can see that with each side, more things are coming. So additional single family homes. And when you think about it, if this is track, maybe somebody wants their home facing the greenway versus it being in their backyard. But these are the possibilities and the options that we have with a plan like this. Next one. And so again, continue to build additional infill housing, taking advantage of our greenways, working with our partners, Metro, as well as Gregory Greenway, to work on, and the city of St. Louis to work on a consolidated plan. Next one. So again, where did we get some of our inspiration from? And so the planner's job was to go out and try to find pictures and things that would, get us excited about what we want our neighborhood to be. Next slide. So again, this is what it looks like now. Next slide. This is what it could look like. And my house is that way. When you stop highway there, I mean, they're driving down Goodfellow East. I would love to I would just get on the highway, get out from Goodfellow all the time. But I could drive down the street and see that every day. That's what we're aspiring to do with our neighborhood. Next slide. Hodemont and the track. So again, this is what it looks like now, and we're gonna see through these so that we can move on to plan. This is the Grand Job Park, thank you. And the residents on that area already have a plan in mind. They already know what they want to do with their park. So again, just working with the city to implement some of these ideas. And so again, future greenway, again, coming to my neighborhood. Right now, we're actually working with Scott and the city on a dedicated bike lane. download mine. Some more traffic calming, next slide. Same thing, they added additional buildings, now we've added some potential carriage homes over here. We have a lot of seniors in our neighborhood, you know, this neighborhood has 3-story homes. After a while, we don't want to walk up and down 3, 4, 5 stairs. You know, we want to have some mother-in-law porch or homes where everything's on the first floor. This is a possibility that we can do over in this area. We can have a nice green where we can walk out onto. Next slide. So again, inspiration, next slide. This is what it looks like now, next slide. Beautiful. We're just waiting. Next slide. Okay, she gonna make me go next. Okay. Everyone about it. All right, everyone about it. You can see where this is again. I drive down Belmore every single day, so I drive past these buildings every day. I think they look like. Next slide. And you can go ahead and advance to the next, and I'm just explaining, well, I'll leave one more. Okay, so over here is a building on the corner of Delmore and Oliver, working with their property owner right now to try to bring their property back to life. Here is the beginning of Food Court Mall. We want to use that as a test case for entrepreneurship, where people come out with their food carts and test their new business ideas. We're actually gonna have our first event in September. We've been moving forward with this plan. We already have ideas, we can ready to start implementing this stuff. And then this is the Metro building here. We've already been told that they're getting ready to start rehabbing that particular facility. And we hope that one day it'll be something that we can use publicly. And then we'll be working with the health centers as well for additional land use improvement. And again, the Greenway throughout this entire piece. What's amazing about the Greenway is it connects 7 neighborhoods, not just the West End. It connects us with the next 6 neighborhoods. But we think they should start here first.
Yeah.
So inspiration. Next one. It was beautiful. Okay, next slide. Yeah.
This is my corner of the neighborhood. I drive by this area all the time. So this is Page and Blackstone. Page is a state street. I have our state in there. The Karma May is here. Thank you. But Page Avenue right now is a nice, right? We know what that looks like. You know, there's a lot of big buildings. So those beautiful buildings. But next. Well, what happens when we start taking those corners that are empty today, and building those new businesses, and frankly, we heard from our community, right? The businesses that used to be there. We're wrapping up.
Oh, so your mic, you're trying to fade.
Stay, okay, can you hear me now?
There we go.
Thank you. So what happens if we kind of recreate what was once there, right? It was already there. What happens if we bring back that ice cream shop, those apartments that used to be on Page near Blackstone? This is 0 to 2 years, go out, 3 to 5 years, we have even more development on the Page, on Blackstone. We connect the Greenway to the Page. Right now, the only way to get to it is to go down Page, right over to Esso, and then you can kind of get to the start of the path there. What happens if we connect that to Page and also add several buildings? On to the next. All right, so this is some of our inspiration. What do we want to walk to? I want to be able to walk to. I have the same conversation with my son, who is 13 years old, who may want to walk over to a particular store, and you know, it's not possible right now, unfortunately. Go to the next one. This is again, what does it look like today? Y'all know that building is under construction right now. I think there's a dumpster right there at that building, emptying it out as we speak. By a resident. All right, and here's our inspiration. Here's what it could look like. Imagine population, imagine people who care about their neighborhood here, living here, working here, staying here, and so beautiful. Next one. All right, so how are we gonna get this done? We're working together to implement positive change. We're already working on this plan. So these are some of the areas, some of the organizations and institutions that are already working in my neighborhood. I developed a review committee, Delmore, Maine, West End Neighbors, East Loop City, Concerned Cities, Concerned Communities, Neighborhood Association, Cornerstone Corporation. And we have our West End Weekly Lab right here in the middle.
So all of us are working together already in some form or fashion, but this is the time now for us to start really working on how do we make this, move this plan into implementation? Because again, it is not gonna sit on the shelf. We're already talking about what's next. Next slide.
All right. I'm gonna move this mic a little bit too. We can't do this by ourselves. As I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of organizations that operate within the West End right now. Great organizations that are mentioned here. The Development Review Committee, as Lisa said, it is already moving. That committee's been in place, it's been in place for a while, and it's operating successfully in our community. The Delmar Main collaboration is gonna cross straight through the West End, and and our residents are leading with that effort. Cornerstone Corporation, unique organization, they're doing work that is not being done that I've seen in many other neighborhoods, where they're taking a very different approach to affordable housing, a more holistic approach, where they're right here in our community and they're at the table. We also have CCUNA and the West End Neighborhood Association, two neighborhood communities that in the past didn't always work great together, but they're coming together now. And they're wanting to work together, and that's so positive. And also there's a series of, if you look kind of in the gray, you'll see all the other organizations. We mentioned Great Rivers Greenway a ton of times, but we can't do this work also without Better Family Life, without People's Health Centers, without the people here in this room, City of St. Louis, our elected officials. So it will be a team effort to make this happen. All right. So we want to thank you guys so much. I am really excited to see almost every chair full. This is really amazing. And I would also be remiss if we did not thank publicly SSTL. We would not be here. Without, not just being with your brand, but without their leadership. We told them that, COVID happened, but where do we want to go from here? And they were like, they challenged us. They were like, well, do you really want to lead this? And some people said, absolutely yes. Some people was like, I just want to check box. Okay. But the majority of the people who wanted to lead, it meant we had to do everything. We wrote the RFP. We interviewed the planners. We hired the planners. We signed off on invoices. They didn't get any if we didn't approve the work. So this has been resident-led from day one. And that's what's different about this plan. If you heard Alexa's comment earlier, we just came from North Carolina from receiving that award. We had a new standard, an international standard for what community engagement looks like across the world. That is huge. Well, thank you again. We're gonna stay here until the and you guys meeting so that you can continue on with your business. But we will have a save the date right now of a community-wide celebration in July, depending on weather and other circumstances, but more to come. Please, when this event is over, join us in the hallway, make sure that you sign up and scan a code so that we can stay connected. You are all, we can't do this without you. Thank you.
Action for the community. You love where the neighbors live. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Let me pause for a moment. If you are going to want to speak during the public hearing, I would ask that you see Jonathan, or outside is a registration form that you must sign up for at that particular moment. At this time, Alexa, are you taking back over?
I will be brief about the awesome presentation. Next slide, please. We will have to skip this slide.
I have it over here.
Oh, thank you, Karen.
Anything?
Down.
So our residents are so excited, they have made up a song.
True story.
Wow.
Full theme song.
Our jingle. Come on, Kevin.
As they're doing that, let me say to all of you residents who participated, as commissioners, we thank you for that. Because it does make what we do very easy when the residents are involved with plans, not somebody bringing a piece of paper saying, here's what the residents want to do. We go, did they say that? They go, yeah, we kind of, no, well, thank you personally and individually for being active residents in your community, because it is your community. Are you ready we're ready for the song. Seeing, if you did, he's ready to produce something. And you go ahead and, why don't you go through your part while we're waiting for that song we'll play at the end of the presentation.
My presentation isn't up at the moment.
Oh.
I don't know if so essentially, the plan has met all of the minimum submittal standards, which is our general requirements. It is our topical coverage, alignment with other plans, meaning like the economic development framework, which is our economic justice plan, our sustainability plan. And it also has met community engagement. And I also wanted to note that during this process, we worked extensively with like our zoning department. And we also really vetted the land use plan. So you'll be seeing when we collab plan back, but we're going to continue working with the neighborhood to work on those land use categories changes in order to enact the visions that you just saw in those renderings and those pictures. And also we already work with zoning, so thank you zoning department. So to be able to facilitate development and really get to implementing. And that's basically my slides, the summarizing. I will go see it.
Well, thank you very much.
So before you sit down, would you just more fully introduce yourself?
Will introduce myself. My name is Alexis Sita, and I am a senior planner with the City's Plan and Urban Design Agency since 2020, and I've been a part of the We Collab planning process with you all, and I'm so excited for tonight, and I know this plan's gonna get adopted.
Here we go.
Oh, okay.
Hey, this is part, right? Hey, this is part. You remember this? Hey, this is part. Hey, this is part.
I can say it, and I think I can make this statement very, very confident. It's the first time the convention has. I know, with that, and then the public hearing has been posted appropriately as we're required. It is time to open that for the committee. I will entertain a motion from the commissioners to open the public hearing. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Banton, seconded by Commissioner Herbert Clark. With that, call for vote, please.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderman Parker. Commissioner Benton. Aye. Commissioner Boaz. Aye. Commissioner Bradley.
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Kim. Aye. Trustee Robin.
Aye.
And the motion passes with 649.
Thank you very much. I just want to get the city commission work at this point. I will invite, I have one call right now. Any other calls for public hearing? I have one request. Is there a second? There is a second, and check if you would online for a moment, if there are any online that will want to make public hearing.
We also have some.
Okay. So I'm gonna invite right now, Mr. Andrew Stern to the front. And please, as I ask, we are respecting everyone's time and being committed to 2 minutes or less. And that's an option, or less. Please state your name and your comments at that point.
My name is Andrew Stern. I'm a resident on that 5900 block of Edsall. And just wanted to thank everyone for their work on this many years. Thank you, thank you. And my only comment was just that the work at Page and Blackstone is the most important out of all this. But just again, thank you for everyone, all your work.
I did not realize, and let me recognize Senator Carla May, who was in the room. I did not see these for my absence of that.
I just had a question. I filled out the form. You can wait till you get to me. I don't have to jump in.
You're up now. That we don't know, but for those on the phone, please acknowledge who you are and your question or statement.
Good evening. I'm Senator Carla May, representing the Fourth Senatorial District. I appreciate everybody who comes out. Thank you so much. First of all, definitely want to thank all the people. Lisa, everybody that was involved in this process. It's been a long road and that stuff was good. So I'm excited. I just had one question. If anybody owns property in the zone, is there any way to help them develop that property or any collaborative where we can work together in developing the property in a collective so it wouldn't be so expensive individually?
I will turn that question over to staff if there's anyone to respond to that, Don, or anyone on staff. We will get an answer for you from the appropriate person to give you the correct information. So we'll record that question. The next person, Valerie Smith, and following Valerie Smith will be Ms. Nancy Wilson. Valerie Smith, please come forward, and following her, Ms. Nancy. It is Nancy, oh, Nancy Maston, I'm sorry. I thought I said Nancy Wilson.
Well, good evening. My name is Valerie Smith. I'm a resident in the West End, and I'm looking forward to living in the new We Collab community. Inclusive change is great. And this plan to me has proven to be the change we need to progress forward, uniting this beautiful community. Focusing on bringing together the West End and the Vegetation Park. This I know for sure, without a vision, the people perish. And this plan truly has a vision for our community.
Oh, I'm waiting to in the community. Ms. Nancy Maston, you are, please come forward. State your name and your comment, please.
My first name is Nancy Maston. Okay, I will. I'm a West End resident, and with my husband, we bought a vacant house about 7 years ago. And it was quite an experience to buy a vacant house. It was a great experience to make it our own home. We have one of our daughters lives across the street with their family. And what struck me about this neighborhood and our part in it was that we are helping make this a neighborhood that my daughter and her family want to be in and raise them and enjoy it and be safe, ride their bikes down the street, all that kind of good stuff that kids used to do. And we want to do it again. We wanted to do that again. One thing about working with the steering committee, they really hold you to the point, and they will not let you alone until you give your opinion. And they love you. They love me. It's been a really good experience. So it's nothing I would ever change about that. So I'm glad I've been part of it. So thank you for listening, and
I think I'm done.
Thank you very much. Justin, I don't know, please. Please state your name and your affiliation, please.
Hello, my name is Justin Heidelberg. I'm the mayor of the West Side. And I'll laugh that the West Side is not included inside of this plan. Well, we're not going to get on that. I'd like to tell you all, thank you for your time. Thank you for my neighbors who have pushed through a lot of hurdles. I had the chance, due to you all doing this nice and inclusive, having all these different draft plans throughout our neighborhoods. I would like to ask, I don't know this process, the reason why I don't, due to the sad to say, due to my tax bracket, I can't comprehend what's going on. It might be, but nevertheless, how can you, I don't know what part of you all have read, but when I read through this does not talk to anything in a post-COVID world. And I listened to what the mayor talks about on her State of the Union about equipping our region with Wi-Fi. We're here. I think about the Inflation Reduction Act. I work with the U.S. Department of Energy as well as the the state of Missouri's Division of Energy. As you all think about this and give any recommendations, I would ask for you all to think about how can the new housing codes or whatever comes out of this will help lessen energy burdens. Because the communities north of Delmar, whether you live in a historic home or you live in a new prefab home out of that, we all have high utility bills. And as my work and job as the mayor, I'm here to protect all women, children, foreign, black, white. It does not matter. Because when I want us to do what they talk about in this plan and in Ferguson Commission report, an opportunity to thrive, we can't thrive. These mothers and women, no one here can thrive if they paying $1,000 gas bill. So I ask you all to please, if you got any recommendations, can we have something that will help lessen those burdens and also bring in smart technology and other things. Thank you all. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Anthony Clark, please come forward with your comments.
I did. I ain't get petty. I went to the church.
Thank you. I just want to applaud the neighbors here. I might cry. This is just really fantastic. And I first met you when I started on this project, and you were always so welcoming and inclusive and gave so many ideas to help make this a better project that I know that what I learned, I can also contribute back to the community in ways I had never imagined. And I just want to say that I think what Justin just said is really important, because as we look at the infrastructure that supports this neighborhood, last year we had the flood in July and it just came running in this building and running on Delmar. And I don't know what we can do about that, but when we think about planning, we should think about the infrastructure, the electric and the sewer systems and everything, because there's going to be a lot of people living here and having businesses here and learning and going to school and thriving here, and they're going to be able to need to access good systems. So thank you for mentioning that, Justin. That's really important. And I just want to say that it is an honor to be in this neighborhood. And I don't live here, my home isn't here, but I live here. I'm here almost 7 days a week. And I love being here. And I think I see what's possible. And I hope that this project is a little bit of an inspiration to others, that this can be done in this neighborhood, and that we can all work together to make St. Louis, all of St. Louis, a better place to live, work, and play. And this is a really phenomenal start. What neighbors can do when they work together, and I'm really proud to participate.
Thank you very much. I have one more. Sharilla Flanagan, and Maxine's just said she hopes it can be done. I think they already said we can do it. It can be done. So at that point, Sharilla Flanagan, please come forward, and then following her, Robin Hughes at that point, please. State your name and the organization you're representing or who you're with.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sharilla Flanagan. I grew up on 1638 Horton Place as a little girl. And then I just moved off to Maple. I was there for 6 years. Now I'm a Barker. So we had to root it. I did apply. I did not get chosen, And I see the plans, everything looks amazing, it looks great, but for me, what help or assistance is there for me as a mother of 6 boys, is wanting to become a homeowner. I've always been a renter here, so what, other than the rooted that I didn't choose pick for, but anyway, what other assistance do you have for someone like me who's wanting to become a homeowner in this area and stay here where I grew up at? I'm raising my boys here now, and I would love to continue to be a part of this area and neighborhood.
Thank you for your comments. It is important, thank you, as really not ignore what you asked me. There's several conversations about wraparound services. So as you're developing your plan, as you're putting that together, that is critical. Because even in the Girls and Boys Club, we send kids home to broken homes and doesn't come good. You've got to give them wraparound services to be successful in that plan. And that's what I hope that you're able to do. At this point, Ms. Hughes. And I will thank everybody for maintaining time and being respectful of your community and neighbors in that.
Hello, my name is Bobby Hughes, and I've been living on up in 800 block for 30 years, and my grandparents live in the 5800 block. Again, right in the 50s and 60s. So I grew up around here. You had a shot at this hospital for 30. But anyway, I just want to know, are they going to put another social security office? They took it away, and we had to go way downtown. Or they took the one off of the North Oaks. There's not one in North Oaks, so we don't have a social security. I'll be talking about elderly. Everybody ain't got a phone. So I'm just saying, how are they gonna put one down in this divide and all this? They took it. That's all I want to know.
Again, Social Security, thank you very much. Social Security office and most of our federal offices and state offices, and that is not under the purview of the planning commission. But then again, we're speaking to those of you implementing plans. These are the things and communities and organizations you need to go after, saying, we need you in this community because this is what the community needs. They don't build what you don't want, they build what you need. And we already understood now what we have at that point. Livingston, please, that's the next name I have. And then we'll close out with Marcella Roan following Mr. Livingston. Thank you.
Hello, and thanks for putting this together. I'm actually very interested in hearing the backstory of how we came to this. So that's one comment.
Please hold the mic up. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm interested in hearing the backstory of how this all came to be. I'm not a resident, but I'm looking to move in there, to smaller state, and then allow that context. The other thing is when I was going through the website and the draft, a lot of the leadership is women, which I love about the Black community. Strong women. When I look in the room, there's a lot of women, but normally young men. And part of that is because of the history of this, the ways in the city. And so I'm curious to see how we are going to integrate the whole community. Because to be fully inclusive, have to be of all the genders.
Thank you. I'll tell you, you want the history, I'll tell you what, because Spots will give you everything you need to know about the history. With that, our last Miss Roan, Stella Roan, if I'm saying that correctly, please. Ladies, you get the list of things that you and your community got to get done. But that's what this is for you to have an opportunity to voice your statements.
Good evening, community neighbors. Good evening, planning commission. That's y'all and steering committee.
Please state your name and your organization.
I'm sorry, Marcel Roan, and I live at 5890 Julian. I'm in the community. And as such, I was involved early with the putting together this effort. And it has been a long road. I'm here to confirm, if necessary, that the outreach has been tremendous. And the follow-up and the energy that is given the community has been tremendous. On our block, myself and a couple of neighbors are putting together a plan to take over the one vacant block that's there. Well, I'm sorry, one vacant block that's there. And to transform it into a sitting space for elders in the community. Because there are several parks in the area, but there are lots of children and men and so forth. And, you know, the elders don't always want to hang out with us folks who want a place where we can gather, because quite frankly, when you get a certain age, you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you want to go walk and hang out. So we would like the support of our alderperson to make this happen. And so I've been attacking the forestry people. We want to show how residents can put together a model block and a cooperative model. So we're trying to work with the city. The residents are pitching in money and time. I wrote a mini grant for the block, and we got some money for that to help with what we're going to do in the lot. So we're just looking forward to a meeting to see how we can move forward quickly and make sure that we are doing all that we can, because we need to get something done. This is living vegetation that when you move on it, if you don't do something to follow up, this start all over again. So we're looking forward to a conversation. I'm saying 15 times. Call and talk, making appointments, I'm attacking people when they come down the street.
With that, thank you very much for your comments. It is important that you have a chance to voice your concerns, your questions, and get those answered, so that you know we are taking notes of those that need to be responded to and those action items at this point. And this is the first public hearing of the night, so at this point, I need a motion from the commissioner to close the public hearing. It's been moved by Commissioner Banton, second by Commissioner Towns. Call for vote, please. Hearing a call for previous roll. Any objection? Hearing no objection, public hearing is closed at this point. What we will do then, Alexa, if you would go back, it's time for me at first to go back to commissioners. As they know the routine in which I go, I will first start with Alderman Cone online with any questions that he may have or comments at this point. Alderman Cone.
I don't have any questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Cone. Alderman Clark Hubbard, I'm sure you have a statement, a comment, and you're allowed as much as you want.
No, but I just wanna thank the resident, right? And seeing how this is coming to fruition is why I absolutely continue to count on this, and I to be in a position to serve you all and advocate for you all and support you all in this work. So thank you so much for everything that has gone into this, and know for a fact for sure that like Ms. Val said, that this work will definitely have action behind it. Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
You might have some questions or comments here from Commissioner Banton.
Always a question or comment. No questions today, but another comment. I just want to say to my community members, I too am a resident of the West End. And I consider it a true honor to be here tonight, to hear all of you all talk about the work that you've done. I haven't been involved directly, but I've been keeping a close eye on it. And I don't know if something like this, being on the planning commission, being an architect with a deep love of urban design and planning, and being able to vote on my own neighborhood's plan, and seeing the passion, I should say, an award-winning plan. That all of you here have done to make this thing come to fruition. It's unbelievable. And the fact that this was started by, 4 residents getting together one night saying, hey, we need to apply for this grant, and just look at where you all are now. One person can make a difference, one person can change the city. It is totally feasible. And it takes the village to get that work done, but it only takes one small step. So congratulations, all of you, for the work that you've done. And I'm looking forward. I know this is not going to sit on a shelf just because we're all are here tonight. So congratulations. And this is Fantastic, thank you.
Go ahead, so you don't do the comments.
No questions, and I can't really follow either one of those sets of comments, but it has been really inspiring. I'm sorry I was late, but it was really hard. It's really great to see the investment that everybody's made to make this plan come together, and I look forward to seeing you act.
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening. So I just wanted to say, no questions, but I have been on the planning commission for almost 15 years. And I will tell you, wow, this is just amazing what you folks have done. You know, recently. We see everyone working together, they do a great job, but this is over the top. It is thorough, it's collaborative, it's inclusive. It's something that you did together and it's something you're going to complete together. I'm very sure of that. And I'm very excited for you. This is exactly what we need every neighborhood in the city to do. And we would just be outstanding beyond all words of recognition. So thanks for your time. Thanks for your effort. Thank you.
Commissioner Anderson, are you online? Not hearing Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Bermedia?
I'm here.
Okay, any questions or comments, please?
No questions. I look forward to seeing this plan again when there's development in this neighborhood and having the planning department say that the development is in line with this plan and that they recommend approval. So I look forward to seeing this plan again and again and again. So congratulations all. That's all my comments for today. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Keon.
Hi, everyone. No questions. I am just so proud of this room. The energy, the cheering, how much you guys are clapping and patting each other on the back. This is not normal. At a planning commission meeting, so I hope you guys are normalizing how fun and exciting planning can be when we come together. So thank you for letting us feel that joy and sharing with us. And then Ms. Flanagan, I don't know where you are in the room, but I will connect you to the Community Development Administration. We got $4.5 million from ARPA that's going for home ownership assistance. So I don't believe that program has launched yet, but I'll let them know you asked some budget and did, and someone can follow up with you.
As the chair, let me first say, and I have to echo Commissioner Bradley's statement, we have seen many plans, and they're good plans. They're great plans, but we have not, I can honestly say, I've not seen as a thorough of a plan as we are looking at today. So that's why you're sitting with an award on your desk. That's why you are a leader for the You are leading the way in that. It is also say if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So this plan is going to go far, I can tell you. So I applaud each and every one of you, the steering committee, but the residents individually, because you have to participate to make them look good. And with a new theme song, you know how they go in the room. Before we talk to that, I believe I'm gonna have some comments from Don Rowe.
I'm Don Raw, I'm the executive director of Planning Finance.
Yeah.
Know many of you for years, seen your smile and all night long, excited. An election has been fine work. And one of the reasons I do that is to answer the question that you have. It is a document that now we can use to advocate people to invest, do the things that are in the plan that drove money. You saw some diagrams, people that are participating, so that's all. The second thing after it's adopted, when things come to us, others from developers, it's measured legally. Are they doing things with the development that complies with this?
Absolutely.
Here it is.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
I think this is what most of you are looking, would you please give us a recommendation for the evening?
We could just go to the last slide. After the sign that the request is that this plan is in conformity with our strategic land use plan and also meets the minimum submittal state requirements for neighborhood plans. And staff recommends approval that the We Collab resident-led reinvestment neighborhood plan is adopted as a supplement to the comprehensive plan.
Thank you. And at that point, I will entertain a motion from the commission. It's been moved by commissioners. It's been seconded by Commissioner Young. Oh, Commissioner Batson. All for vote, please.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderman Mark Hubbard,
Aye.
Commissioner Benton,
Aye.
Commissioner Boaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Bradley,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Garmendia,
Aye.
Commissioner Young. Aye. Judge Father.
Aye.
Congratulations, We Collab.
One step forward for each plan. Next is one point. Next. There is another organization of opportunity here that will be presented. Thank you again for all your participation. I understand that you're excited about that, but we're still moving forward the order of business. We have 4 other items for action items on the board, 3 other public hearings. So I appreciate your comments and your concerns. If you want to make a comment on this second item, which is the suit for amendment number 24, please be sure to register for those public hearings.
Like to take a short break. If you want.
Matter of fact, why don't we do that? I will give a 5-minute health break. And 5-minute health break, yes.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna take a shit.
The word from outside, so if I'm not sure. He takes the opportunity.
God.
You're gonna give it back.
You've been back and did the job. Yes.
Congratulations. Thank you, Justin. I find it really hard to succeed. Thank you so much.
2 minutes, please, 2 minutes.
I saw you look at What's your name again? That's right.
If we can gather back in order at this place, if we gather back in order, I'll call the commissioners back to the dais. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being patient and bearing with us as we move forward. We have three other items, three other public hearings that must be had. The notices have been sent in appropriate timing. These will be presented by Miriam. The first one we're looking at is a sloop amendment 24. I'll turn the mic over to her at this time.
Thank you so much, everybody. I know my songs. That's just one of the ways my presentation may not be as all the same. Good evening, Chair and so. This item I'll present tonight is a proposed initiated by staff strategic land use plan amendment. And it's for the area including 3728 and 3052 Market Street. Next, please. So this my presentation and consideration of this item includes an overview of an amendment. It does include a public hearing and then a commissioner vote on the amendment. And just for the record here tonight, public hearing, of course, follow our standard rules and regulations, and notice for this hearing was provided in two publications on May 23rd, and it's not describing it that it's been available on the community's website since that date. Next slide, please. So as you know, the strategic land use plan is a policy document that designates desired future land use for locations all across the city at a block level. And the map on the screen shows the latest version of strategic land use plan. Every block in the city says it's one of these 10 land use categories. Next slide, please. The original strategic land use plan was SLOOP. It's first adopted in 2005. It's been amended over 20 times since then. Many types of amendments that we bring to the commission. Can you hear me well enough? Thank you. This amendment before you tonight is kind of the second type of amendment shown here on the screen to recommend a change in vision for a large underutilized site. Next slide, please. So here is a view of the two properties under consideration. I'm actually looking south to orient you. So you can see the front of the building, known as the famous bar warehouse. And also the home of the Google Outlet Center, hazard moving and storage, and other current industrial tenants. And then at the far west end here is actually to the right, since we're looking south, is a vacant building, formerly industrial, but I understand that in recent history, it used to be a gay bar in this part of the city. And the amendment tonight that is before you of the strategic land use plan is prompted by a prospective redevelopment of this site, which we'll discuss further, even in the next agenda item considering the rezoning. But it is not tied exclusively to that amendment in any way. The strategic land use plan change also kind of more holistically aligns with the transition long underway in this part of the city and the areas surrounding the Armory and Boundary District, as well as the anticipated Brookline Greenway coming to the area. Slide, please. So this site, sort of zooming out, sits within this transitioning industrial corridor of the city between the Central West End, Forest Park Southeast, St. Louis University, Vortex, Midtown, and Downtown, areas which have undergone significant transition away from industrial use since 2005. Next slide. And as we zoom in, looking more immediately around the site with proposed change, we can see a number of recent, ongoing, and proposed developments around these properties, many of which convert to formerly industrial spaces to a range of retail, entertainment, and residential uses. And the subject site being so tied into the proposed grid line and within walking distance of the Grand Station, the Grand Metrolink Station, it sort of presents another area where this transition could and we are recommending should be supported by our strategic land use plan. Slide. And then here you can see that blue star, the site as sort of at a key connection point in the broader Brookline Greenway network. Next slide. So currently, the two properties under consideration are designated by the SLOOP as this business industrial preservation area category, and I included the described intent of that land use designation here. And we are recommending shifting the designation to the designation described on the right of the slides, opportunity area, which is a flexible designation that allows for the transition underway in this area to continue without excluding the near-term operation of existing industries. Next slide. So here's how that shift in designation, if this amendment were adopted, would be reflected on that. And shifting to that designation would mean that future rezonings, including the one before you tonight, as well as redevelopment plans and other land use actions in the city, would be reviewed for conformity with the intent of this opportunity area designation rather than the business and industrial preservation area designation. Next slide. So before we jump to the public hearing, I wanted to provide a little bit more site context to sort of get you in and around the context of these properties. So that on the top of the screen here is subject site facing the north side of the building. And in this number 2, subject site facing the west end, where hazard moving storage has their loading operation. Next slide. And then part of the subject site, and this is the property at the very west end of the area that we're recommending a strategic land use plan change. We're looking at the north side of the building, kind of from the intersection of Market Street and Van Adventure. And then the picture at the bottom of the screen here is looking south from the subject site, and you can see that it's just north of the Metrolink tracks and other industrial uses, including an old rail yard. And then finally, just to the east is Armory STL, and just to the north of the subject site, you can see Market Street and Interstate 64. And this is actually at the future connection and Riverline Greenway network across the highway. So just east where that number 2 is on the little map. That is where the Riverline Greenway in the future will connect north and south. Next slide. And so that was the end of presentation and
Prior to opening public hearing, is there anyone representatives here that wants to speak to this? Open public hearing. Anybody from developers or from? Okay. All right, very good. With that, it is time for public hearing, as of course, as mentioned earlier, posted as appropriate. We'll entertain a motion for public hearing.
So moved, Alderman Cone.
It has been moved by Alderman Cone, seconded by Commissioner Banton. Call for vote. Here to call for previous roll. Any objections? Hearing no objections, previous roll accepted. At this point, is there anyone that you invite anyone to come forward if you would like to make a public statement? At this point, we ask a 2 minutes limited. Anybody willing to make a public that wants request to make a public statement, please do so at this time. Seeing any online, are there any online? Seeing that there's no public request at this point, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved, Alderman Cone.
Moved by Alderman Cone, seconded by Commissioner. Go ahead. Would they call for vote? Previous roll, any objections? Hearing no objections, public hearing is closed at that point. At this point, we'll entertain questions from the commission. Alderman Cone, any questions?
So I'm sorry that I'm not in the room. Are there representatives from the developer there?
No, there are not.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I take the fact there are representatives from.
Yeah, they are in person. They were going to speak when we get to the agenda item about the rezoning petition.
Go ahead, Alderman Cone will entertain. They are representatives in the commission. I'll invite them to come forward if he has questions.
Yeah, I'm really just kind of curious about the the far west part of the parcel that was referenced. It does have a somewhat significance in LGBT culture and history here locally, and was wondering if there's any intention of honoring that in any way.
Is there anyone that would like to respond to that? Marius, please identify your name and who you're representing.
My name's Amanda Howard. I'm the executive vice president at Green Street. The parcel that Shane Cohn is referencing is the parcel of JJ's, represent the 3852 Market Street. We do not have current plans for that. We do recognize the history and plan on incorporating that in some way or some shape or form. Currently, we're just kind of envisioning that site as the main entrance into the Armory District.
Any other questions on the call?
That's all the questions that I had, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderman Banton, Commissioner Banton.
Just one question for staff, and I think I've asked this before, but oftentimes when we do this, it feels like this is reacting to a development proposal. And as a strategic land use plan, it seems like this should be more forward thinking rather than reactionary. So, as it relates to this, for example, the area just south of here is still going to be industrial or designated as industrial area. Why not, make that an opportunity area as, thinking ahead and thinking that we would like more development.
So we'll answer that in the executive director's comments at the end about a new initiative.
Okay. And no further questions. Thank you.
And they'll be actually being married.
Commissioner Boaz,
No questions.
Commissioner Bradley,
I have no questions.
Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Garmedia,
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Cowan. Chair has no questions. At that point, before call for your recommendation, staff.
Next slide, please. Our recommendation is that the planning commission adopts and approves amendment 24 to the strategic land use plan of St. Louis comprehensive plan. Pursuant changes in these portions of these two state laws, 3929, 3950. And exhibit D of the formal resolution and inclusive of all prior amendments to the strategic land use plan.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion from the commission.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner. Commissioner. Boaz, second by Commissioner Young. Call for vote. Call for previous roll. Hear any objections? Hearing no objections, it passes with previous roll. Thank you. Where's the excitement on that approval? And Miriam keeps the mic up at this time.
Yeah, we neglected to arrange for the confetti to fall through this.
I have a note for you.
Okay. So the next item I'll present is a rezoning request for 3728 Market Street, which is in the Midtown neighborhood. Next slide. So as you can see, this request, in comparison to the geography of the slope amendment, you all just considered. This includes only 3728 Market Street, not the property at the corner of Market and Vandeventer that was asking about. The request before you is to rezone the parcel from K unrestricted district to H area commercial district. And the petition was submitted by representatives of Green Street Development, which is the owner of the property, and representatives from Green Street, as was discussed before, are available to provide a short presentation and answer commissioner questions after this item. Next slide. So the project prompting the petitioner's rezoning request is a prospective development to redevelop the existing Famous Bar warehouse building into a mixed-use development, including a mix of uses, elements, office space, retail and entertainment space, residential uses, and structured parking. And I'll say that it's our understanding that the petitioner is exploring a variety of financing options for this development, including the potential for historic tax credits, which take advantage actually of the Famous Bar building's nomination to the National Register of Historic Places. And I want to add just upfront that PDA staff is not blind to the issues regarding the petitioner's property tax arrears. And I believe the representatives of Green Street will be addressing that during their presentation. before we move into the public hearing. So I just wanted to speak to that upfront. Next slide, please. So currently, when we think about what the rezoning, how the rezoning would change land use entitlements for this property, currently under K, mixed uses and residential uses are not allowed under the A unrestricted zoning district. Uses that would be allowed under K, however, includes some pretty heavy duty industrial uses like petroleum refining, explosives manufacturing, as well as auto sales and leasing and open storage. And even under, and I'll note relative to industrial uses, that even under a rezoning, existing uses, even if not allowed in H, such as uses related to the existing industrial tenants, would in short be grandfathered in and not have to cease operation. Colleagues of ours in the zoning section are here with us to provide any more detailed answers to questions about that. Next slide. And as described in the earlier agenda item, this rezoning would be in reference to the opportunity area designation, which is a flexible one that envisions a range of development activity in areas where land and land uses in a district are under transition. So the rezoning from K unrestricted district to H area commercial district would be in conformity with the SLUP designation as amended by the commission this evening. Next slide. So I'm not going to give you, again, the full tour of the site, but I think turn to my colleagues from the zoning section, Evan Winkler and Terminal Island, to see if there are any points in this or that they would like to expand on.
Sure, I'll do a quick expansion. Hi, my name is Evan, zoning planning. I do just want to expand a little bit on that grandfathering piece. The existing occupants are grandfathered in as a legal existing non-conforming use. And the zoning code does address any changes or discontinuations of that existing typically that's in the form of what we say expansion of capacity. So that could be an expansion of building footprint as well as use in terms of change of business model. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was on the records. Thanks.
Thanks. Next slide. So now, before the public hearing, I'd like to hand it over to the petitioner to provide a brief presentation.
Thank you, Miriam. Again, my name is Amanda Auer, Executive Vice President of Development at Green Street. The Green Street affiliate purchased this building back in 2021 as part of the Greater Armory District and the plans we have for that. As Miriam mentioned, Famous Bar built this building for its warehouse. Basically, it was built in stages starting in 1925, with the last piece being completed in 1966. We are in the very early stages of looking at how to redevelop the site. It's a 1 million square feet. It's going to be a very large, complex project that's going to take time. We recognize that there are existing tenants, they have leases in place, and we're going to be working with them, mainly the very 3 large users, on trying to find maybe them a new home eventually, if they so desire. We are also very close to getting on the Register of National Historic Places. That should be in place in the next few weeks. We have applied for the Federal Historic Tax Credit Program, and we will be applying for the State Historic Tax Credit Program very shortly. So what we kind of have planned right now is apartments on the upper floors. And then we have a mix of commercial uses. We've kind of identified some retail, entertainment, office, but really the market's going to kind of dictate what kind of commercial uses go into this building. And we also plan on using the lower floors for interior parking, as well as the surface level parking. We have met with Alderwoman Keys, and she is supportive of the project. And then, as Miriam noted, we have communicated with the city about the taxes that are in the arrears, and we have made a commitment to make quarterly progress payments over the next 12 months to get that corrected. And so basically, in summary, kind of why we're here is just the beginning process of trying to give us the flexibility to introduce some residential in this building, and that will help us seek additional financing tools to see kind of what the final project will be like. Thank you.
Great, lady. Thank you very much. With that, I'll entertain a motion from the commission to open the public hearing.
So moved.
By Commissioner Collins, seconded by Commissioner Manson. Call for vote. Call for previous roll. Hearing any objections? Hearing no objections, public hearing is now open. If there's anyone at this time that wants to make comments publicly, please step to the center or log on or acknowledge online. Any online comments being acknowledged at this time? Seeing no online comments at this time, seeing no one in line or yes, sir. Please come up and state your name and your comment.
Yeah, hello, my name is Livingston, and I was curious how much the tax arrears are and how big of a development it is for the target.
Okay, can someone answer the question, how big were the tax arrears? And I did not hear the second part of the question.
So we are currently behind on the 2022 real estate taxes, which the base level is roughly around 500,000, but with taxes and penalties, we're nearing a little over 600,000 that is due currently. The project as a whole is probably a $200 million investment. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Any other public comments at this time? Going once, going twice, going three times, entertain a motion from the commission to close public hearing. It's been moved by Commissioner Boaz. Second by Commissioner Clark Hubbard. I'm names right now are getting to me. Call for previous roll. Any objection? Hearing no objections, public hearing is closed at this point. At this point, we'll ask for the recommendation. I'm sorry, no. Questions from the commission. Commissioner Cohn will be first, then Alderman Cohn, then Alderman Clark Hubbard. Alderman Cohn, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
No question, thank you.
Commissioner Banton.
Questions? With this project, which should be great to get, thank you, great to see redone. There was a plan a while back to build 2 new towers around the Armory site. How does this affect that plan?
So the residential towers that we have kind of been working on don't affect this plan. If you're thinking of how it with the residential, it would probably be 2 different types of product. The residential and the Goodwill or Famous Bar building would be much more industrial feeling to it, so.
So the towers are still potentially in the works.
Potentially, yes.
Is there an order of on which one would potentially come first, this one or those?
Really hard to say. This depends on the market and getting the financing in place.
Got it. Second question, I'm just curious on the timing of this. Is there a reason this needs to be rezoned right now? As you said, the timeline for this project is probably far in the future, and given that there are issues with the property taxes, it seems like the city would be giving up some, I won't say leverage, but leverage on the developer approving this without having all those. Okay, so is there something in regards to the historic tax credits or something that this is needed for at this moment?
So we do need to document for some of the historic tax credit applications that we have the zoning process in process for the intended uses, especially residential. We will discuss with Alderwoman Keys on the timing of taking it to the next step with the Board of Aldermen. I don't think we are gonna rush out and do that this summer. And we're also very aware of our existing tenants and, don't want to make a change that can't be reversed.
Thank you.
Commissioner Boyce.
Questions.
Commissioner Bradley.
Real quick, so you mentioned the Armory District, great development, all good. This is a great plan. Tell me what you're thinking as far as the access along Market Street. So Market and Vandevetter, coming out now from the armory is a total nightmare. What are the discussions with the city about enhancing that access? Are there other means? Are we gonna signalize the intersection? What are we thinking about?
We really would love a signal at that intersection. I think it's just depending on the city on what traffic studies will be required with as the redevelopment plans progress. But yeah, that is definitely a goal of ours. And then we're also understanding that MoDOT is also kind of looking at changes to the highway and exits in that immediate area as well.
Commissioner Anderson, are you on? Hearing no comments, Commissioner Garmedia.
No questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Khan.
Just a comment, building off of what Alderman Cohn was asking on the acknowledging and recognizing the history to the LGBT community. I know it's in the early stages, but a request that once you all are at a point of engaging different stakeholder groups, that they are a central part of those discussions and how to honor this. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner, the chair has no questions at this point. So what we will do is at this point entertain the recommendation from the staff, please.
We find that this rezoning request and the proposed rezoning change is in conformity with the strategic land use plan, and we recommend approval of that.
With that, I'll entertain a motion from the commission. Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Khan, seconded by Commissioner Boaz. Call for vote. Call for previous roll. Hearing any objections? Hearing no objections, it passes with previous roll. Thank you very much. With the third item on the agenda that requires a public hearing, Marion's still up.
Yes, thank you. So the third item I'm presenting is the rezoning request for 3 parcels in the Midtown neighborhood. 3800, 3802 through 4, and 3808 Laclede Avenue. Next slide, please. Together, these parcels are almost half an acre in size. And the petitioner is Mr. Sean Lassen with a consent of the current property owner, actually St. Louis University. The request is to rezone from J Industrial District to H Area Commercial District. Next slide. And for a little bit of context, so you can see the site there on the left, the petitioner is hoping to consolidate these 3 parcels outlined in blue there, which are currently zoned J Industrial, with the adjacent property, which is currently zoned H, into one larger site in order for consolidation to occur, properties need to have the same zoning. And the petitioner's intent is then to develop this larger consolidated parcel into, next slide, please. A 12-story mixed-use building with structured parking on one level, of which is below grade in the current concept. Office space for a future retail tenant, a second floor amenity deck, which you can see a little bit in the rendering, and 314 student-oriented residential units in the building. Next slide. Rezoning to H would allow for the property to be used for mixed use development and residential uses, which are currently not allowed under J industrial designation. And the rezoning to H would also prohibit certain uses currently allowed in the J district, including, as you can see on the slide, auto sales and leasing, auto repair and bodywork, car washes, outdoor open storage, among others. Next slide. The rezoning actually would not change the height or parking requirements. They're the same in J and H. And I'll note that, just briefly, that the project has described 12 stories and a 0.5 space per unit parking ratio would need variances in order to be permitted. Next slide. When we look at the strategic land use plan, we see that these parcels fall within especially mixed use area, which is a very supportive of the mix of uses enabled by an H zoning designation. Next slide. I also want to note that these parcels fall within the St. Louis Midtown 353 redevelopment plan area, within action area. And I have a summary of what action area from that plan envisions. Opportunity to construct new mixed use infill, that can include a mix of uses and take advantage of St. Louis University's, the proximity to SLU's North Campus and so on. So, again, it's sort of very in line with this plan, which was previously recommended by the Planning Commission and is a redevelopment plan currently active in the city. Next slide. So before closing my presentation, I just want to give a brief tour of the site. You can see the subject site above, actually with the second phase of the boundary under construction in the distance. Just west of the subject site is on the south side of the street, the Jimmy John's and St. Louis University athletic fields on the north side of the street. Next slide. Just north of the subject sites are really right across the street, student housing. And then east of the subject site, so it's kind of looking a little bit south, but mostly east, down Laclede. You can see parts of St. Louis University campus and additional student housing. Next slide. And here just south of the subject site, so this is on the south side of this block, facing Forest Park Parkway, apartments and a hotel. And then you can also see the boundary and boundary phase 2, just at the very top right corner of that lower image, currently under construction. Next slide. And so before handing it over to the petitioner, I want to again ask the collection of the zoning section if there's anything you want to expand on that I missed relative to this rezoning.
The commission, my name is Charles Agnew, and I'm planning examiner for the city of St. Louis. Now, even though this project is up for zoning change, they will make it more conducive to residential and mixed use developments. There's still will need to be some variances issued from the Board of Adjustment in order to actually complete this development. There will be variances needed for the height of the building. It will exceed 8 stories or 100 feet. It will be a 12-story building. There is for the parking, there will be 314 residential units, but in one parking space is needed for each unit, and this is going to be 178 as opposed to the 314 that's required. And then also there will be variants that need to be granted for setbacks, side setbacks, possibly the front setbacks. So those are things that we will review once the application is submitted for to actually build. And then also the future tenants that are moving in, depending on what they're going to do, they may have to get some approval. In zone H, everything is not used by right. So we will look at those as they come in.
So I'll invite the petitioner to make a great presentation.
Thank you, Mary. So start by thanking you for putting together such a thorough presentation. I'll take a couple minutes to give you a little background on the mic up and please introduce yourself. Take a couple minutes to introduce myself and the team. My name is Sean Lassen. I'm one of the owners and developers of the project. The project is a partnership between my company, Pittsburgh Lassen Holdings, and the K1 Group. The K1 Group is a Minnesota-based student housing developer that is a nationally recognized owner and operator of purpose-built student housing. They currently own and operate approximately 15,000 student housing units across 19 states, 2 of which are at the University of Missouri. My company, Pittsburgh Lassen Holdings, been in business in the city of St. Louis for over 10 years, and we've completed approximately 50 redevelopment projects in this general area. We've engaged St. Louis Design Alliance to design the building and BSI Construction to construct it. K1 and my company identified a need for graduate student housing at St. Louis University. And that's the main goal of this project, is to serve that need. As well as providing a much needed option for the many students who don't own cars or who can't transport cars and their belongings to campus. A lot of the students who live in this building are international and have a really hard time finding housing anywhere near the university. It's very difficult for them to get transportation in. And we also want to make a positive contribution to the Midtown SLU neighborhood. The project will create a more vibrant and attractive urban environment by providing increased density and additional ground level retail and public space. The building will be 314 units, 650 bedrooms, 178 parking spaces, and approximately 3,000 square feet of retail space. Some of the amenities will include a resident community room, a workout facility, and a large outdoor amenity deck with a swimming pool. The units will be fully furnished. We're seeking no incentives, no abatement. We have the financing and equity in place, and if we can get through the zoning and variance process and break ground in December. All that.
We appreciate all you got. Thank you very much. With that, I will entertain a motion from the commission to open the public hearing. It's been moved by Commissioner Vanta, seconded by Commissioner Young. Call for vote. Previous roll. Hear any objections? Hearing no objections, previous roll. At this point, I invite anyone to make public, that wants to make any public comments, to please come forward. If anyone wants to make public comments, please come forward. Are there any online? Seeing that there are none online, seeing there are none present for public comments, we'll close, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Vanta, seconded by Commissioner Boaz. Call for vote. Previous roll. Any objections? No objections. Public hearing is closed. With that, thank you very much. I'll entertain as normal questions from the commissioners. Commissioner Alderman Cone would be first, then I'll follow with Alderwoman Clark over. Alderman Cone, any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry, I was trying to place this. I'm trying to follow along virtually here. So where is this is a Vandeventer and Forest Park?
Oh, yeah, can we go back to the, it's on Lafayette Avenue, about a block and a half west of Grand, which is the block east of Vandeventer.
Okay, but it's north of Forest Park Avenue.
Yes, yeah, so it's, facing Laclede, north of Forest Park Avenue.
Okay, the perspective in one of the renderings was throwing me off there, I think, because it had the standard, which is at the the northeast intersection of Vandeventer and Forest Park. Is it Avenue or Parkway? I've always thought that section was a parkway, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, that rendering I guess it's just throwing me off a little bit. It makes it look like it's facing Forest Parkway. But so this will be on Laclede.
Yeah, this would be facing Laclede. All of these three properties are right on Laclede.
Okay, is there any? I feel like that section of Laclede has some low-rise buildings, maybe some that have some architectural significance. Maybe I know there aren't many left over there, but there's a few. All right, so I guess those are just being torn down.
Let's see, I'm trying to think, all three of these parcels are currently vacant. There used to be, I think until 2019, a warehouse building.
And SLU demolished that in 2019.
And
Thanks a
that's
lot.
what I'm saying, demolished that in 2019.
And the only historic building that I can think of on the street would be Humphreys.
Yeah, please make it.
Yeah.
Just speak to the mic because it's being recorded. That's
The only historic building that I can think of on the street would be Humphreys.
And if that's not part of this plan?
No, that's about a half block east.
Okay. Okay. And then just from a composition of apartments, are you building any like 3-bedroom units in this complex?
It'll be predominantly 1 and 2 bedrooms with some 3 bedrooms. We can engineer not to have any, we wouldn't, but
You know, I mean, I've brought this up at other planning commission hearings in the past, but I think it's really important to, you know, when we're talking about student housing, you know, many students are studying and, you know, taking out student loans and oftentimes working jobs, and oftentimes would like to have roommates to split costs, you know, utility costs, cable, whatever. So having 3-bedroom apartment units is sometimes helpful to defer the costs of, you know, a residence as well.
so we got a lot of feedback from St. Louis University, and 2 bedrooms was kind of the sweet spot for a lot of the international students that we put in it.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, what?
What percentage of 3 bedrooms in the building? There's 64 3 bedrooms, whatever that comes out to, percentage. About 20%.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Oftentimes these developments don't have any, so that's a wonderful change of pace. Like to hear it. Thank you. Otherwise I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Commissioner Banton.
A couple questions. So are you partnering with SLU in this at all? Or is that just you consulted with them to see what their student needs are?
We are not partnering with SLU. We're buying the land from them and we've taken their feedback to heart and designing and putting together the plan for the building.
Got it. And this is planning on being a mixed-use building with retail on the bottom?
Take approximately 3,000 square feet of retail space.
Okay. And in terms of tenants built as student housing, is it going to be, is it open to others? Or are you going to be marketing specifically towards students, but what do you have an expected mix of how many students or the people, everyday non-students?
We fully expect the building to be 100% graduate students at St. Louis University.
Okay. Seems surprising given the amount of housing that's going up around there, but okay.
So the university is seeing a drastic increase in certain graduate programs at the campus. They expect to have about 2,000 more students in the next 3 years. Graduate students. The tailored geospatial program has brought people from all over the world.
Good to hear. Good to hear. No further questions. That project's moving forward quickly and without incentives.
Commissioner Boas.
No questions.
Commissioner Bradley.
You're not looking for anything, you're holding the great development and you're increasing St. Louis University. Thank you.
Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Garmedia,
No questions.
Commissioner Young. It's good. No, that looked pretty good. With that, I want to follow a little bit of Commissioner Banton's question that the only residents you're looking for are graduate students. Does that mean that that is a prerequisite to rent, or is that your market?
That's our market. It's not a prerequisite.
Okay, I want to be sure that we're not doing that. Because graduate students also are older, can also be families, and be married or partnered. So I want to be sure that we're not setting a precedent that is not favorable for all at that point. With that, I'll entertain the recommendation from the staff at this point.
So we find that the proposed rezoning request is in conformity with our strategic land use plan, and we recommend approval.
Thank you very much. With that, I would entertain a motion from the commission. Approve.
Second, Alderman Cone.
It's been moved by Commissioner Banton, second by Alderman Cone. Call for vote.
Previous roll.
Call for previous roll. Hear any objections? Hearing no objections, it passes with previous roll. Thank you very much. And commissioners, give yourself a vote. You've gone through 4 public hearings this evening. Thank you very much, and we look forward to that, especially as you said, fully funded, fully furnished, breaking ground in December 20 of this breaking ground of this year.
December or January. Yep.
Okay, we wish you the best of that, and I am glad to hear that St. Louis U has such optimistic outlooks on their graduate programs. In that case, with that, there is one more item on our agenda for the staff, and guess who's presenting it? You're right on up, Mary.
Read that. So this final item is review of chapter 99 lighting study and redevelopment plan for 2 parcels in the Kingsway East neighborhood on Dr. Martin Luther King Drive and just east of Kings Highway. The redevelopment plan itself provides for up to 10 years of tax abatement, and it does allow the use of eminent domain as a last resort to acquire one of the properties. And we'll come back to some more information about that in a moment. Next slide. So zooming out a bit, I just want to provide a bit of context about the site's location right across the street, really, from the Urban League, Metropolitan St. Louis, and down the street from Sherman Park and the Lowell Recreation Center, and several active businesses on the block and farther down the street. Next slide. It also falls actually smack in the middle of the Economic Justice Action Plan's Martin Luther King Boulevard demonstration area identified in that plan. Next slide. So this redevelopment plan is in support of the Sweetie Pie Second Act development, which intends to renovate this commercial building at 4949 Dr. MLK Drive, which has been vacant since 2020, into a restaurant, 160-seat dining area, and 2 small conference and event spaces. So what could really be a real destination for this part of the city. Next slide. This plan also provides for use of acquisition of property by eminent domain, and again, as a last resort for acquiring this vacant commercial building on the slide at 4923 through 4925 Dr. Martin Luther King Drive. And I just wanted to provide a little bit of more information about this property as sort of due diligence for this use of eminent domain enabled by this redevelopment plan. So researching the city's public property records, we find out the property has very likely been vacant since 2009. It was actually condemned to be demolished in 2010 and has been the subject of 18 service requests, including a range of building code violations, graffiti reports, illegal dumping reports, and board of requests. Subsequent to the current owner's purchase of the property, there was some minor electrical work completed in 2015 and occupancy permits filed in 2015 and 2019, but never completed. There has been no business license issued and no permitted commercial use since 2009, at least in this building. The intended future use of this property identified in the redevelopment plan is also commercial. Next slide. And the intended future use of both properties is inconsistent with the strategic land use plan designation in this area, which is regional commercial area there in the red, and specifically the development of commercial uses that have the potential to be this real type of facial draw to this corner in the city. Next slide. Before inviting commissioner questions, I want to provide a brief tour of the site. So right across the street, as I mentioned, from the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis on Kings Highway. Next slide. Just west of the subject site is a beauty supply store. Just south of the site is vacant land, also with development potential, though not included in this redevelopment plan. Next slide. And then Matrix Cleaners just down the block. And then just north of the site, additional vacant land. With that, I'll answer commissioner questions, of course, and also note that I believe Zach Wilson of SLDC is on the line to answer any questions.
Okay, Zach, I just want to be sure, are you online?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. With that, I will begin questions with the commission as normal. Alderman Cone, any questions or comments?
I have no questions. Thank you,
Thanks.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alderwoman Clark Gilbert, please. Any questions, comments? Thank you, Commissioner Anton. Any questions, comments?
Assuming we don't have anyone from the development.
That's correct. Yeah, they're unable to.
Thank you, Commissioner Boaz, Commissioner Bradley, Commissioner Anderson, are you online? Hearing Commissioner Garmedia.
No questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. Thank you. With that, the chair has one question. Is the Urban League aware of this process or project, or even the petitioner? Because I know they have plans, or they're making major plans right now for their campus.
I'll defer to Zach on that one.
Yes, they are. They provided a support letter to us for supporting the project.
Thank you very much. All right. With that, would you review the staff recommendation?
We find that our recommendation is that the 4923 through 4949, Dr. Martin Luther King Drive redevelopment area of this town to be declared as blighted, and the proposed redevelopment plan in conformity with the city's strategic land use plan, regional commercial area designation. And we recommend approval and recommendation to the alderman of the proposed redevelopment.
All right. With that, I would entertain a motion to accept. It has been moved by Commissioner Clark Hubbard, seconded by Commissioner Young. Call for vote. Call for previous roll. Any objections? Hearing no objections, it passes with previous roll on that. So all action items have been completed. Thank you, Commissioner. With that, I will give a turn over to Don for the director's report, please. 90 seconds.
So I'll be quick.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
I have a great entree, what I'm gonna say. Well, one, let's give it a round of applause. Two, let me tell you, the next project, right on one activity one, is we have a budgeted $90,000, excuse me, $900,000. And we've sent out an RFP. We get respondents from all over the country. Our selection committee, which includes two planning commissioners, myself, and a member of the comptroller staff, and are advancing a contract with a selected firm that will go to E&A next Wednesday. And the task is, this firm is they're gonna take a deep breath and go back to the strategic land use plan, which we first originated over 20 years ago. We make these small amendments, but they're going to think about that in a comprehensive way with best practices around the country to be looking at it. We've survived a court challenge before, so that's a good thing, but we're going to up the ante and see what we can do better. There'll be some parallel things along with it as to what else we might be able to include in it under the state comprehensive plan law that we haven't done in St. Louis. So that's a good thing. It's also going to be looking at zoning in a best practice way. It's a sub-consultant on the team. That is the zoning consultant that's worked in interested cities across the country. It's a 14+ month project to be doing that. And well, on the way soon, point back to some of this, for instance, the area immediately south of where we changed the opportunity zone is owned by Union Pacific. So they're in sort of industrial mode state. So we'll be looking at that. They will be looking at changing what the strategic land use plan should be for that. But they'll also be able to give us a rationale for planning reasons as to why we do that. So we could defend ourselves in court. Yeah, so big thing on the horizon. Yeah, looking forward.
With that, commissioners, any other comments or questions from the commissioner at this point? Hearing none, I would first wanted to simply say thank you for your time, your investment in this. We have had an exciting afternoon. It's been 3-4 years coming since we sat together and get to see one another, and it has been a long one in that, but we have done good work today. Again, thank you to all those online for your participation. I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and second, and we don't even have to vote for his role was in today's meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. Woo!
Our July meeting will also be in the field, in Forest Park, not out.